everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be comparing a 2021 Ram TRX to a 2020 Shelby Raptor. We've got the ultimate off-roader from Ram and the ultimate off-roader from Ford/Shelby. This should be a really exciting driving comparison, but first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Ed Kenley Ford for giving me some time with their Shelby Raptor. They still have this black one, and then they have the blue one as well, so go check out their inventory in the link below. They actually do not charge over sticker for the Shelby products, so like it's a great place to buy from. But let's get into the video. Let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the TRX. So first off, visibility over the hood is just slightly better than the Raptor because the hood isn't so raised, but the hood doesn't look as cool. So like, I don't know, I'd take the Raptor hood if you ask me. There's your visibility through both of the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring, and then here's throughout the rest of the rear, which the tire in the back doesn't get in the way because it's lower down. So I guess you do get that benefit with that tire carrier. And that all being said, let's set off. As you can see, we are setting off in the TRX, and again, we are in the sport mode with the TRX, and I'll pop it over into the manual mode. Well, I mean, I drove the Raptor like half manual, half automatic, but we'll be in the manual mode here at the TRX. First off, starting off, the thing I noticed is instantly when I start up the TRX, you could hear the fans blowing in the engine because this thing heats up pretty quick. It's 48 degrees outside. Definitely, I mean, big supercharged V8, it's gonna heat up fast. But I am noticing significantly less tire noise, but you do give up some off-road capability with these tires. They're not going to be as good as the tires on the Raptor. So it's like, do you want quieter tires that are a little bit smoother on road, or do you want tires that are a little bit more capable on the off-road? So it's kind of like a give and take with all of that. And then the truck is kind of more quiet on the interior from the noise on the outside. Supercharger sound though is really good with the TRX, but you definitely don't hear as much noise in the cabin, and the truck does feel a lot larger. It feels a lot more substantial, just kind of, and I mean, this weighs a lot more. Like a Raptor weighs about 5,600 pounds. I imagine the Shelby Raptor with all the stuff maybe weighs like 5,800 pounds. This weighs over 6,000 pounds, like 6,300. But let's get our acceleration. So I was in the wrong gear, but like you guys can see, the acceleration's really good, even when you're in the wrong gear. Like, it's just crazy. And listen to the downshifts. This thing just hauls. Now, does this feel like it has, you know, well over 100 horsepower more than the Shelby Raptor? I mean, kind of, but not exactly at the same time. So like on the bottom end, this does feel significantly quicker than the Shelby Raptor, but once you're on the top end, it doesn't feel that much faster. It does feel faster, 100%, but it doesn't feel like crazy fast compared to the Raptor. It is faster, okay? I want to make sure that we have that. And just those downshifts, don't worry guys, I've got over 1,700 miles on the truck, so it's already like fully broken in, so like I can do these crazy downshifts with the truck. The other thing to mention, I did mention this with the Shelby, is the brakes on this, they aren't as strong as the Shelby's because this truck weighs so much more, 6,300 pounds. And yeah, I mean, there's only so much brake they can fit in an 18-inch wheel. So this one just doesn't brake as quick as the Shelby. So that's another kind of distinction between them. But just listen. You can't even shift it, like first gear is so quick that you can't even shift fast enough without bouncing off of the rev limiter here with the TRX, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that initial acceleration is crazy. Feels significantly quicker than the Raptor. You get the instant torque, no turbo lag. But like I said, at the top end, both of them taper off. The TRX pulls a little bit harder, but it's not as much as the 700 horsepower figure would suggest. So where does the TRX stand? From the exterior, it's still a really good looking truck. It doesn't look as special as the Shelby. That's just my personal opinion, but I still think it's a really good looking truck. From an interior perspective, the interior materials are absolutely beautiful. The dash light, all that kind of stuff with all the carbon fiber, really nice looking. And really what this truck is good at is daily drivability. This truck's really smooth. It's a really good luxury vehicle that's crazy fast, crazy fun. And then from the performance standpoint, it's great. The off-road capability, now I haven't taken this truck off-road yet, so I can't really fully comment on it, but just from a suspension and tire standpoint, we already know that the Shelby's more capable on the off-road. So and I'm gonna kind of get into this with summing things up for the trucks. This is like a great daily driver that you can take off-road. The Shelby, you could daily drive, but it's like the more capable off-road truck, so you do concede some things because of the added off-road capability. And I guess a lot of people are gonna talk about resale value. We don't know about the TRX resale value, but we do know about the Raptor. The Raptor has really good resale value. The Shelby Raptor has phenomenal resale value. Like 2020 Shelby Raptors like that one used are still going for like close to MSRP. So like it doesn't really lose value. Whereas this truck, we don't know yet. So we'll have to see what the value's like. But from a resale perspective, the Shelby definitely is really solid. They're both great trucks, just kind of in different respects, and you guys will kind of see with that, and I'll let you guys vote to see which one you like the most. But that's the TRX driving. Well, let's talk about visibility here in the Shelby Raptor before we set off. So first off, visibility over the hood. It does kind of impede you a little bit with kind of like the raised hood portion, but I think it looks really cool from an aesthetic perspective, and it's really not much worse than a stock Raptor. And then here's your visibility through both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring, and here's throughout the rest of the rear, which, yes, the tires get in the way a little bit, but I think it's worth it because they look cool, and from an off-road perspective, super functional in case you get a flat, which happens all the time. But that all being said, let's set off. Well, we are pretty much setting off here in the Shelby Raptor, and it's been a while since I drove one of these. I reviewed one earlier this year, or sorry, last year actually, I meant rather. And after getting out of the truck, I have never wanted a truck so bad before in my life. Like, I had to like show amazing willpower not to like go and buy one because it's such a cool truck and it just drives so great. So if you guys are wondering, I've got it in the sport mode. I'm going to drive the TRX in the sport mode as well. Well, the TRX driving was actually before this, but regardless, the TRX was in sport mode too, and so I just want the comparisons to be kind of equal from like a drive mode perspective, and like that's what the fun driving is going to be on road, is you're going to have it in sport mode. But getting up and going, I love the turbo sound, and the window sticker totally fell down, but I love the turbo sound with the Raptor, and I don't mind the V6. A lot of people are like, oh, a truck has to have a V8. I'm definitely not in that camp. I love the sound of a twin turbo V6. I think it's just a really neat sound. But initially getting up and going, you definitely do hear quite a bit of noise from the tires, which I expected with the Shelby Raptor since it's got these crazy off-road tires. But maneuverability with them is really good. Like, this definitely feels smaller and lighter than the TRX. Like, you can definitely perceive the weight difference with the trucks. Now I am going to pop it over into the manual mode for a little acceleration here. Sounds so good. Oh, and it pops out the exhaust. The gear shifts are so quick in the sport mode, just perfect. And obviously with the 10-speed automatic, you do have to shift the gears a little bit more often because the ratios are a little bit closer. Now that we're on the highway, again, you do hear a little bit more tire noise. From a ride quality perspective, it goes over bumps a little bit better than the TRX, but the TRX kind of feels a little bit smoother on the road. So there's kind of like that distinction between both of the trucks. And then as for the acceleration, yes, everyone knows the TRX is going to be quicker, but this is still really quick. And for an off-road vehicle, it's quick enough. Like, I don't feel like I really need any more power. The TRX feels like overkill, whereas this feels like balanced. But yeah, it drives great on the highway. I love the steering feel with the Shelby Raptor 2. Super direct for a truck. It's got like a nice weighted feeling to it. Gear shifts are really good. I love the turbo noise with this too. You get little like bits of turbo noise from it. It sounds really good. And the brakes, that's a huge difference too. The Shelby Raptor, you can definitely feel like the weight when you're turning it, but also with the braking, the stopping power on this feels significantly better than the TRX. The TRX feels like it needs a little bit more in terms of braking, whereas this feels, you know, right where it should be. That turbo noise always gets to me. I love it. But yeah, let's actually get into summing things up with the Shelby Raptor. So from an exterior aesthetics perspective, I feel like it's a really good looking truck. Like, this truck has so much road presence with all of the light bars that it has, with the crazy bumpers, the Baja rack with the tires in the back, and just like how tall this truck is also just gives it so much off-road presence. It's crazy. And then from an interior perspective, I love the seats. They're very comfortable to sit in. I love the look of them. I love like the carbon fiber bits on this truck as well. The steering wheel feels perfect. It's like the perfect size. Like I said, the weighted feeling of it is great as well. And then as for the rest of the Shelby Raptor, in terms of the performance, so again, this has the long travel suspension. So we know from a suspension standpoint, this is going to do better on the off-road than the TRX. On-road, this feels a little bit rougher than the TRX, but it's not by much. And the biggest difference you feel on road is the weight. Like, this just has better turn-in, it feels a lot lighter, it brakes quicker, and again, that's just a weight thing. When you put a huge 6.2 liter V8 in the front end of a truck, it's going to feel heavier, and it's not going to be able to brake as quick unless you put massive rotors on it, and they're kind of limited when they can only have an 18-inch wheel in the truck. So like, I understand why the TRX doesn't have massive brakes, but like, it definitely is kind of like a thing on that truck. So yeah, overall though, with the Shelby Raptor, this truck's really good on road. You could daily drive it, but yeah, the off-road capability and the looks of this truck are really what makes this shine. That's the high point of the Shelby Raptor, the looks and the off-road capability. Let's get into summing things up with the driving comparison between both of the trucks. So this is kind of how I see it. I see the Ram TRX as a great on-road, off-road truck. I see the Shelby Raptor as a truck that you could daily drive on-road, but I see it really as like the ultimate off-road truck. Yes, I know the TRX has more power, but you've got the long travel suspension on the Shelby Raptor. 500 horsepower is more than enough. You've got the off-roading bumpers with the lights. You've got 2 tires in the back. Just everything about this truck makes it more capable on the off-road compared to the TRX. The TRX is still awesome, but like, that's kind of how it stands. The TRX is a great on-road, off-road truck. The Shelby Raptor is just the best off-roading truck. Now that's gonna sum things up for today's video. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to Ed Kenley Ford for giving me some time with their Shelby Raptor and letting me compare it to my Ram TRX. I really appreciate it. Check out the inventory on the link below. I'll see all of you guys in the next video.